My girlfriend seems to be pregnant and she wants to get married. She wants a fancy wedding, so could you help out with some money? My college-age son got his girlfriend pregnant. Yet, he's thinking about a flashy wedding without considering the future, which just makes me sigh at his lack of common sense. We really shouldn't be thinking about a wedding right now. First, we need to go and apologize to her parents. Our son got their daughter pregnant, and it led to her dropping out of college. It's on them for not using contraception, and it's not really our problem. Besides, it's a blessing to have a new life, and honestly, there's no need to apologize. It's a happy occasion, and she don't need to go to college anyway. It'll save them a bunch of money. We should be thanked, really. My husband has always been domineering and looks down on women. His statement that women don't need to go to college shows just how irresponsible and outdated he is. However, I am not like my husband, so I decided to go alone to greet them. That was what I thought. But then, look, you don't need to greet her parents or anything. I just want to invite all my college friends and have a lavish wedding. I'm thinking of a budget around $60,000. Don't you realize how hard it is to raise a child? If you have that kind of money, you should be using it for child rearing. Plus, she's dropping out of college, so at least show some decency by covering the tuition fees she's already incurred. Don't you feel any responsibility at all? You're not the one involved, so stop meddling. Just use the savings you've been putting aside for the wedding expenses, got it? While looking down on me, that's what my son said. In that moment, I knew that whatever I said would be futile. I verbally agreed to pay for the wedding, and in the meantime, I kept preparing for it steadily. Then, on the wedding day, I told my husband I had some things to handle and would arrive later, and we went our separate ways. However, I didn't attend the wedding until the evening, and when I checked my phone, there were multiple missed calls from my husband. Hello? Why have you been calling me repeatedly? What's up? Where the hell are you? The bride's parents are here too. Why are you the only one not attending? You're embarrassing me. And without you here. My name is Yasmin, and I'm currently a single mother raising a 7-year-old daughter. I became a single mother about 4 years ago. My daughter was just 3 years old at the time, and my husband left us after having an affair. Hello, aren't you supposed to come home today? Something happened on your business trip? I'm getting remarried. What? Taking care of a child is too much, and I don't like you so much. I've brought the bare essentials, and the divorce papers are on my desk. Please file them. That was the last conversation with my ex-husband. He left us for his affair and spoke of remarriage. With no job and a young child, I struggled starting from finding a daycare. Raised by a single mother who passed away early from illness, I had no one else to rely on. Yet remembering how my mother always prioritized me, I vowed to do whatever it took to properly raise my daughter. Years later, I met a man at my part-time job. We both had children and were divorced. After a year of serious dating, with our children's approval, we decided to remarry. Let's live happily together as a family of 4 from now on. Wow! I knew blending our kids into a family of 4 might take some time. But contrary to my expectations, my daughter and his son hit it off right away. They're close in age, which helps, and after school, they're practically inseparable, always playing together. They both love being outdoors, and on weekends, they often go to the park together. However, about a year after we remarried, things started to change. My friend gave me some trip tickets, but there are only 3, so can you stay home? I'll take the kids with me. What? It's not like you need to pay extra to come with us, so just stay home and take care of the housework, okay? If there are only 3 tickets, then I guess that's okay. Mom, you're on house-sitting duty. I'll have fun with Dad. It turns out there were only 3 tickets, and my husband and daughter are telling me to just wait at home. I'm a bit worried about my daughter going without me, but since she agreed to it, there shouldn't be anything to worry about. I'd have liked all 4 of us to go, but I'm not in a position to be demanding. With that thought, I saw them off with a smile, but from that day on, things between the 3 of them began to shift gradually. I started to feel left out more and more, like I was floating alone in our family. Of course, I managed the housework perfectly while working part-time, without any complaints, continuing as a flawless homemaker, but day by day, their attitudes towards me grew colder. For Keith's birthday next week, he's been saying he wants a road bike. There's one for $2,000 at the local bike shop. Can you buy it before his birthday? If he wants a road bike, then I guess we should get it for him. Can we split the cost? No, you should pay for it. You're saving the money you make from your part-time job, right? Don't be so stingy. I use that money for the kids' allowances and stuff, and we really don't have that much spare cash. Are you saying you won't spend money for my son's birthday? You said you'd treat our kids equally, didn't you? Was that a lie? My husband glared at me as he spoke. However, I wasn't being stingy on purpose. A $2,000 birthday present for a grade school kid seems a bit much. And if it's something that expensive, it should be a joint gift from both of us. I treat his son just like my own child. I've never made any distinction between him and my daughter, and I never plan to. It's true that his son hasn't opened up to me yet. He doesn't talk to me much, but that's a separate issue. It's not a lie. I've always treated them equally and with the same love. But $2,000 isn't a small amount, and I think splitting it would be fair. We don't have that much extra cash. My refusal was because of the high price, not because of whose birthday it was. It turned out I was refusing his son's birthday present, but I would have reacted the same if it was my daughter. If you consider him your son, then you should pay the full amount. What are you working part-time for, if not for the kids? Of course I work for the kids, but I think it's too much for anyone's birthday. I don't want to hear your excuses. I've made my point. If you won't get the road bike, it means you're treating my kid differently from your own. That's how I see it. After saying that, my husband went back to his room. It's not an amount I can't afford, but I did have some reservations. In 2 months, it would be my daughter's birthday, and I couldn't justify spending a large sum on his son alone. I wanted us to discuss it properly as a couple, but he was just imposing his will on me. When we were dating, he seemed much more sincere towards me. But after getting married, his personality changed into a domineering one, and lately, it's been troubling me. Not only him, but recently our kids have also started looking down on me like their father does. Hey, I need my gym clothes washed for tomorrow, so take care of it, will you? I'm going to bed now. Just make sure they're ready for me to grab in the morning. What? Why didn't you tell me right when you got back? It's already 10 p.m. You should be more considerate when asking for favors. Dad. She's saying weird things again. Look, doing the household chores is your job. Don't get all upset about it. Have you forgotten that's your role? I was shocked by my husband's remark. My daughter comes home in the evening, and now right before bed she's asking me to do the laundry. She's not doing it herself, she should be more considerate of others. If this becomes the norm, she'll grow up to be unreasonable. Hey! Where are you going? We're not done talking yet. Stop nagging. Dad says it's fine, so don't keep making a fuss. Dad will handle it, so you can go to your room now. With that, my husband let our daughter go to her room. The conversation wasn't over yet. I tried to stop her, but she ignored me. What I'm saying is just common sense in parenting, but my husband will never take my side. On the contrary, it's having a bad influence on the kids. You should consider others more. If we let anything go, we'll raise a child without common sense. Look, the kids are tired from school when they come home. If you can't understand that, you're not a good parent, are you? You have to differentiate between kindness and discipline with children. I've said it before, but continuing like this, they won't learn right from wrong. You keep arguing back at everything I say. Cut it out already. You're just a wife, don't go against what I say. My husband lost his patience because I wasn't backing down. But no matter how much he yells, I don't think I'm wrong. I didn't give in because I believe it's for the children's education. If you think yelling will solve everything, maybe you're not suited for parenting. Don't get ahead of yourself. I'll make you understand your place, and don't come regretting it later. That's all he said. I realized that talking with my husband any further was useless, so I went on to wash the gym clothes my daughter had handed to me. Eventually, I went to sleep past midnight, and since I had to get up early the next day, I woke up sleep-deprived. I had a part-time job from the morning, so without any rest until evening. I had to prepare dinner before my husband came home, so after finishing the chores, I hurriedly started making dinner. But then, I'm home. I bought pizza today, let's all eat together. My husband came home smiling with pizza. I had already made dinner, so I wondered why he hadn't called, but since the kids were happy, I didn't say anything. But then, what? You only bought 3 pieces? You think a mere wife deserves to eat? You're gravely mistaken. Who do you think you are? What do you mean? You keep disrespecting me, the head of this household, and you think you get to eat pizza? I told you not to get carried away, didn't I? I was speechless hearing my husband's comments. Why would he bring up marital issues in front of the children? I couldn't believe it. I was at my wit's end with my husband who only had a negative influence on the children. Why can't you distinguish between what's appropriate and what's not in front of the kids? And you, why can't you understand how you should behave towards your husband? I've told you clearly. If you keep disrespecting me, I'll have to teach you a lesson. It'll be too late for regrets. I was so upset by his words that I ate the dinner I had prepared alone. During this time, our 2 children showed no concern for me and happily ate pizza with their father. Perhaps my husband seemed like a hero to them for bringing home pizza, but they should be more aware of the situation. They're not so young anymore that they don't understand. I'm not overly strict. I just think it's necessary to teach them basic social norms as human beings. Yet, my husband consistently shows the kids the exact behaviors they should not see. I worry that if things continue this way, our children will grow up to be like him. After that, I hardly spoke to my husband, and time just passed. It seems like the children prefer their father over me. If my husband was doing the right thing, it's up to the kids whom they gravitate towards. I don't have to be part of that, but I am genuinely concerned about their future. I'm home. Welcome back. Can you please not leave your socks around? Put them in the laundry basket. Stop nagging. Dad would say that's your job. That's wrong. You should at least be able to put your own laundry in the basket. It's just common sense. If you live on your own, who do you think will take care of you? When I'm an adult, I'll just have my spouse do it. I'm a man, after all. My worst fears were confirmed, and the 2 of them really did start to act like my husband. They treated me like a maid, assuming it was my job to take care of them. They had no appreciation for the meals I prepared or the chores I did, taking for granted everything I did for them. This was all because my husband continued to act this way towards me. He might think being domineering is cool, but he only exhibits harmful behaviors to the children. I have talked to him about this several times, but he never listens. The children are old enough to understand societal norms, and I began to wonder if teaching them further was pointless, so gradually I stopped nagging them about it. However, I continued to stay as their mother because that's what my mother did for me. A mother should sacrifice everything for her children. That's the kind of mother she was. With this image of motherhood ingrained in my mind, I continued to care for them almost out of obligation. And then the 2 grew up. My stepson was getting married. His girlfriend seems to be pregnant, and she wants to get married. She wants a fancy wedding, so she'd like some financial help. Getting married. Well, that's certainly joyful news. But he hasn't graduated from college yet. What's the plan there? And isn't his partner also a college student? His girlfriend plans to drop out of college. She's going to be a stay-at-home mom and take care of the kids. Though they were adults and college students, I had never complained about what my 2 children chose to do. However, there was the fact that he had gotten his girlfriend pregnant and driven her to drop out. Surely her parents must be upset about this. First off, apologies need to be made. Moreover, raising a child is going to cost more than these young folks in their early 20s can imagine. It's absolutely senseless to me that they want to have a fancy wedding without considering all of this and just ask us to pay for it. We really shouldn't be planning a wedding right now. First, we need to go and apologize to her parents. Our son got their daughter pregnant, leading to her dropping out of college. As for the pregnancy, it was because they didn't use contraception. It's not really our issue. Plus, it's a blessing to have a new life, so there's no need to apologize. It's a joyous occasion, and it's not like women need to go to college anyway. They can save money by not wasting it on college, right? We should even be thanked. I remembered now, my husband is very domineering and looks down on women. His comment about women not needing to go to college shows just how irresponsible and outdated he is. However, I'm not like my husband, so I thought I'd go apologize myself. That was what I thought. But then, look, we don't really need to go apologize to her parents. I just want to invite all my college friends and have a lavish wedding. I'm thinking about a budget of around $60,000. Don't you realize how hard it is to raise a child? If you have that kind of money, it should go towards raising your child. Also, since she's dropping out of college, you should at least show the decency to pay off her tuition fees. Don't you feel any responsibility? You're not the one involved, so you shouldn't be meddling. I've got some savings left, just use that for the wedding expenses. Got it? My son said this looking down on me. At that moment, I realized that whatever I said was futile. But regardless of what he says, as a parent, I must fulfill my responsibilities. With that thought, I arranged a meeting to apologize to her parents. I apologized profusely for my son getting their daughter pregnant and causing her to drop out of college. Luckily, her parents were optimistic and said that while she did drop out, the birth of the child was a happy event. Of course, if they are happy, there's no problem, but I couldn't stand the attitude of my husband and son. But they are adults now, so they can do as they please. With that in mind, I decided to talk to my son about the future. So the down payment will be made by your father, and I'll pay the rest on the day, right? Yeah, that's how it's gonna be. Make sure everything's ready. Okay. Got it. I made a verbal agreement with my son, and after that, we stopped talking. It wasn't that I intentionally avoided speaking. We just didn't talk unless necessary. In the meantime, I steadily prepared for the wedding. And then, on the day of the wedding, I told my husband I had some things to handle and would arrive later, and we went our separate ways. My husband and son left the house first. The house was silent, and within that silence, I packed my bags and left. About 2 hours later, I received a message from my husband. He was upset that I wasn't at the venue yet as the wedding was about to start. But I ignored it. He called several more times, but I didn't answer until after the wedding was over. As evening approached and I figured the wedding was probably over, I called my husband. Hello? Why have you been calling me repeatedly? What's up? Where the hell are you? Even her parents are here. Why aren't you attending? You're embarrassing me. He was furious that I didn't attend the wedding, but I never intended to go in the first place. I never planned to attend the wedding in the first place. Why should I celebrate his marriage when he's never seen me as anything but a maid, even after 12 years together? Besides, wouldn't he be happier if I didn't attend? It's not about that. You think you can cause a scene and just get away with it? I don't care what you all think of me anymore. We'll have a thorough discussion later about you not attending the wedding, but first, the wedding costs. You did make the transfer, didn't you? Like I would pay for the wedding. Did you really think a maid would pay too? A maid is just there to cook and clean. You've treated me as nothing more than that, so don't expect anything more from me. When I said this, my husband seemed completely at a loss for words. He probably never expected I would refuse to pay. But let me ask you this, after all the years of demeaning me, why would you think I'd pay such a large amount? That's just brazen. If you really thought I was going to pay, you're delusional. Since it's supposed to be paid on the day, you better hurry up. The banks are about to close. Wait a minute, I don't have that kind of money. And we had agreed that you would pay the rest. How can you say you're not paying now when it's this late? Stop causing trouble for others. You're supposed to be the head of the family, right? Then it's your responsibility to pay for your son's wedding expenses. I'm just the wife. I can't do that. Have you really fallen so low that you're begging someone you've always looked down on to pay? Given how prideful my husband is, I bet he was absolutely furious at what I said. But I'm not wrong in what I'm saying. If you have time to argue with me on the phone, you'd better get to the bank fast, or you'll miss the deadline for the transfer. That's what I'm telling you, I don't have the money. Stop joking around and go transfer the money right now. No matter how many times you ask, I won't do it. If you're out of money, maybe ask one of the attendees? But since they're all college students, I doubt they have any money either, so you'll probably have to ask the bride's parents. My prideful husband would never be able to ask his sons-in-laws for money. Now, with no one else to turn to, it's not my responsibility to pay. Especially since this wedding was planned with no regard for common sense. You think you can just do this and get away with it? I'll forgive you if you pay now. If you make the payment now, I promise no further consequences. What does he think he is? Moreover, he's made a huge mistake in thinking we'd continue to live together. I'm this assertive because I plan to end everything. Sorry, but I'm going to divorce you. If you thought we'd continue our marriage, you're mistaken. I'm tired of being used as a maid. What? What are you saying? You can't just decide something like that. Selfish? What are you talking about? I stayed with you out of responsibility as a mother. Now that the kids are grown, there's no reason for me to stay. No way, I'm not accepting a divorce. Stop saying whatever you want and angering me. After over 10 years of teaching you your place as a wife, you still don't get it? I wanted to yell back at his absurdity. But it was getting late, and the bank transfer deadline was nearing, so I just hung up the phone. I texted him, clearly stating I had no intention of paying, and that I'd leave the divorce papers and leave the house. I muted his messages and decided to check back later. If the wedding costs go unpaid, it's on him and my son. I'm no longer involved. And the next day, I unmuted my husband to call him. Hello? Who ended up paying yesterday? You're calling now? What are you thinking? Don't make me repeat myself. Who paid yesterday? Hello? Don't be irresponsible. Because of you, I had to ask her parents to pay. You've made me a laughingstock. Indeed, since no one was able to prepare the money, the bride's parents ended up making the payment. While I think it's truly pitiful, I didn't feel any responsibility at all. Where the hell are you? I won't be satisfied until you come home and apologize. Get back here now. I absolutely won't allow a divorce just like that. You've been too high and mighty, causing trouble for everyone. I will make sure you regret everything you've done. My husband and son were yelling these things, but I had already communicated my intention to divorce. Do they think I'll come back after being threatened like this? If they really wanted me back, they should have been more humble. Well, I never expected much understanding of social norms from them anyway. The divorce papers are on your desk. Just submit them to the office. If you tear them up, I'll consult a lawyer and go to divorce court. I have evidence of all the emotional abuse you've done, and you won't have a chance if it goes to court. A divorce court? That would air our dirty laundry. I don't care if it's embarrassing or whatever, as long as I can be free from you. And you, begging someone you've looked down on is just a maid not to divorce? Isn't that the embarrassing part? Are you mocking me? Just imagining you begging the parents of our son's bride to cover the wedding expenses because you can't afford it is just too funny. But don't worry, I'm not that cruel. I suspected this might be the last conversation I would have with my husband, so I made these remarks somewhat mockingly. He was furious, but I ended the call. After that, not expecting him to file the divorce papers willingly, I immediately consulted with a lawyer. As I suspected, my husband had torn up the divorce papers, so my lawyer began trying to persuade him. However, as my husband refused to agree to the divorce, my lawyer reluctantly started the process for a divorce court. Worried it might affect his job, my husband grudgingly agreed to the divorce. It took some time, but I was able to divorce my ex-husband. Since I had used most of my savings from my part-time job for moving expenses, there was no money to split in the divorce. My ex-husband now has to repay the wedding expenses gradually, which I believe will take him a long time, but I think he deserves to struggle with those payments for a while. About a month later, I got a call from my daughter. "Hello? Mom, I might not be able to graduate from college. Dad says he can't pay my tuition, so could you pay for my last year?" My daughter had always sided with my ex-husband and had treated me like a servant as well. She hadn't contacted me at all after the divorce, but now suddenly reached out wanting help. Of course, I had no intention of extending a hand to someone so ungrateful. Only reaching out when you're in trouble and expecting help? That's not going to happen. You've always been hostile towards me, so I will treat you the same. You should ask your beloved father for help, then. Bye. I said just that and hung up the phone, then deleted her contact. By doing this, I completely severed ties with those 3 people and started a new chapter in my life, now living it joyfully. Being a family, being a parent, I used those as reasons to try my hardest up to now. But if you choose the wrong people to give that effort to, it's all for nothing. In my life going forward, I'll meet many people, but I plan to spend my time meaningfully. I intend to spend my future life without involving myself with useless people and instead, surround myself with those who genuinely make me smile.